check.
'Cause I just flew back from Atlanta this morning.
Oh, wow. Welcome home, homie.
Uh, I mean, And, it's been kind of a long week. Um, so, uh, I did a lot of driving. I did some shows, with my friend Shanali, um,
Oh,
and she's a musician, and she released a new album called One Machine at a Time, um,
oh,
and it's very good. She's an indie rock. She's very proud to be an independent artist. She has her own record label that I
oh,
actually put my 2nd album out on.
oh, rock
Um,
on.
yeah, she also put out, Selena Kopic's album.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, she's had most of her feet have been in music, but she's also had a foot in comedy. She, back in the day, was part of a comedy group called Variety Shack, and
Okay.
the other members were, like, Chelsea Peretti and
Whoa.
yeah, yeah, so she's, like, in it, you know, and, friends with a lot of comics. I met her in Atlanta years ago. We did the math, maybe, like, 30 years ago,
Mm,
um, and, just from music the music scene and whatnot, and, she's great people, so she put out this album that's, very personal, and she decided to go on a tour of the cities that have really affected her life musically, and,
that's beautiful.
yeah, so, she asked if I would open on a few of the dates, and I agreed, and I think she's got Claire O'Kane opening on some of the other dates,
That's
um
what's up.
yeah, and so that was great, I got to rent a car and then drive to Nashville and drive back to Atlanta and then drive to Charlotte and then drive back to Atlanta and then get on a plane. So so that's ultimately why I am tired. Both of those drives are 4 hours one way. So,
Yo,
yeah, yeah.
look at you being young out here, yo. Real talk.
Uh-huh.
That's
I'm
that's that's 22-year-old comedian like
Oh,
nonsense.
22-year-old comedian energy is doing that and then sleeping on someone's couch or floor.
Yeah, word.
Yeah. No, in Nashville, Shonali's from Nashville, so I stayed at her mother's house.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
That's what's up.
yeah, in a bed, but then Charlotte, they had gotten a hotel room, but oh my goodness, Charlotte. Okay, Charlotte was a whole thing. First of all, this is no fault to the people of Charlotte. This is
Yeah, I rock with Charlotte.
yeah, I have you been?
Yeah.
So, I've never been to Charlotte, and, I, was gonna go and tell my jokes, and the thing with having, a comedian open for bands is that, at some point, the people won't be in the mood for it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You run that risk. So that was my show where the people I mean, I think people were in the mood for it, but some people weren't. They weren't understanding because that's a place where bands play. So it's a place where you go and you talk loudly and the music starts up so no one can hear you, and then, when there's no one on the stage, it's just because there's nothing on the going on the stage, so you can continue to talk loudly. You know
Right.
what right?
Yeah, yeah.
So there were some people who were talking very loudly, not realizing that there actually was someone on the stage, like, saying things, like, performing. So,
Right.
yeah, so that's fine. But, so I eventually had to deal with that circle of young ladies. But before that, I went up right after Shonali and her band set up their instruments and everything. So I went up and started to talk, and the feedback from the mic I was using, uh, uh, kicked off something on the instruments that were all behind me. So every time I'd start a joke, one of the band members would run up on stage and fiddle around trying to figure out what the problem was. So then I would just abandon that joke. And so my first 3 jokes, I never got to the punchline. I just had to abandon because it took them that long to figure out what the sound issue was. And, also on this one was a show that started the latest of all the shows. It started at 10, and there
Okay.
were 2 bands. Normally, there had been just 1 band and then myself and then Shanali, but this night there were 2 bands. So the people who were left were people who were there to see Shanali, which means they're older. And they're
Right,
just
right.
like and I think part of them were sitting in the patio outside, and they knew Shanali was next, and they were just gonna sit out there until they heard the music kick in, then they're like, "Oh, Shanali's on," so then they would go in. So so it was a small, uh, audience, and they were, you know, uh, they were rooting for me for sure, but
Okay.
elements were not in my favor. All of this again, fine, truly not at all, like a lousy situation, but not the worst thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we've dealt with this
Well, just
before.
yeah, so and especially when you know that this is the setup, you're like, "Well, yeah, sure,
Yeah.
this is bound to happen." Um, and then after having to talk to these young women who were talking very loudly, and I just made everybody shut up, and the whole room went silent as they were talking, and they still were talking so loud they didn't notice that everyone had stopped talking until one of the girls turned around and noticed everyone, including the person on stage with the microphone, was all looking at them. And
Mhm.
then she was like, shh. And I was like, no, 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 you don't have to shush. Just what are you talking about? Because it looks really juicy. You guys seem to be really into it or whatever. And she said some sort of wine party and potluck thing. And I
Okay.
was like, "Oh, okay. What are you gonna take to the potluck?" And the girl's like, "Oh, that's what we're trying to decide." And I'm like, "So at midnight on a Saturday, y'all are discussing a potluck in a bar.
Oh, yeah.
Okay." Um,
Okay.
yeah. And then later on, I was just trying to talk to the audience, and then the girl who was doing the most talking tried to talk to me and ask a question. I was like, "No," and, kept going. So and so that's fine. That's you do whatever you wanna do. I don't wanna go in there and blast them and make the energy wrong because
Right, it's not that kind of
it's
event.
not that kind of event. I'm just there to keep things cheerful, and then Shanali's gonna come on and do music, and it'll be fine. In the audience, Rod and Karen
Oh,
from
rock on.
yeah, because they live in Charlotte. They live in Charlotte.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I cut it off. Rod and Karen from Black Guy Who Tips podcast. Uh,
Yes.
Big homies, we rock with their show often. But yeah, they're from Charlotte.
Yeah. So they came out to see it, and I felt for them because it's not an ideal setting to see someone do comedy. If the only
Right.
they'd been listening to Shanali's record, so they listened to, like, part of the but they also saw the first 2 bands because they got there early, and sat through the first 2 bands and then sat through whatever my situation was, and then they sat through, like, half a Shanali, and then they had to go because at that point, it's, like, 12:45, and, they were like, "We're tired." And I'm like, "That's fair.
Yeah,
Absolutely, go home. No need
real
to
talk.
stay. You've heard me, you've heard her. You got it." So I just felt bad because they did not see me in the right situation,
Right,
and it's not honestly, if it was someone coming to see me for the first time, I don't know if I would have told them, "Go to that show," because it's
right,
not a normal comedy show. But I had not I'm in their city, I don't know when I'll be in Charlotte again, and I was getting to meet Karen for the first time.
right,
So I was
right.
like, I can't discourage them from going, even though I don't know if it will be I mean, they gotta sit through 2 rock bands beforehand, you know? Um,
It's a different vibe.
it's a
Yeah.
different vibe. So, but it turned out great. It was good to see them and talk to them and everything. But I do apologize for them having to see whatever that was because it wasn't a proper set or anything.
It
Um,
happens, you know.
yeah, it
I don't think enough people realize like the the random things that people will ask us to take part in as comedians.
mhm,
Like the eclecticness of the event. Good shows, to be clear. Like I'm not usually like the thing that they're putting together, I like the idea.
right,
I see I'm intrigued by their vision. As a comedian, I know there might be some challenges that
right,
you're not foreseeing. Uh, but I'm down to try if you're down to try.
mhm,
Let's see how this works. So yeah, I but when in turn when I have friends in that area, yeah, I have the same issue. Like I did a show in LA and I was staying at a friend's house. So like I had to
Mhm.
tell them when like that I'm leaving, that like I'm going to the show. So I'm gonna be home a little late. And
Right.
they were like, "Oh, like why aren't you invite us?" I was like, "Cause like I've never been to this show. So
Mm.
like I don't want to tell you, yeah, come through, you get dressed up and it's in a laundromat, you
Right.
know? Like
Exactly.
I have no idea what I'm getting into. And as a
Yes.
comic, I'm okay with that because I have to work on my craft, but I
Right.
don't always want to just
Want
send my
people
friends
to
blindly into it,
yes.
you know?
Exactly.
So like you went through that, and it was, I'm sure it was a cool show. It just wasn't what you would envision a first comedy experience for somebody.
Right. Exactly. So that was fine, but it and that's how that is. But what was the rough part for me was at the end, the people who did stay and watch, I'm sure that they thought they were lifting my spirits,
Okay.
but the pity in their eyes where they just said stuff like, "Yeah, I know it's tough. I'm sorry you had to. I know it's a tough room, and it's good to see you." Really, the sound guy, who I really liked, the sound guy was very nice. Ian at Snug Harbor, great dude,
That's
and
what's up.
he was like, um, "It's good to see a professional because there was a lot of bullshit going on, and you handled it really well. And I know that's not how it's supposed to go down, but um." Thank you for doing that, not bailing and blah, all this other kind of stuff. And I'm like, I mean, okay. Like, yes, yes, okay. I don't even know what to say because I'm just like, because to me, it's just like, it's an off night.
Yeah.
It's not great, but I did not think I didn't think of it in a traditional bomb way
Right.
where the whole room was just like, ew, gross. It
Right.
wasn't that. People were with me and they laughed when they heard jokes. But it just took me a while to even get to that point because I was constantly interrupted. And so, you know, but then the other musicians were just like, yeah, I don't know how you do what you do. That's got to be tough and good for you for like stuff like reassuring things like us keep going kid and that kind of stuff. Just stuff that I'm like, I'm not this wasn't even the worst situation I've been in on stage,
Yeah.
and this is just like a lousy night at work. I don't think I need stiff upper lip, kid. And one guy, he was just like, "Yeah, it can be tough out here on what the audience is," but, like, giving me this, like, old-timer just energy of, like, you just gotta stick it out and, all this other stuff, and he's like, "I mean, how long you been doing comedy?" And I said, "15 years." And he went, "Oh, okay." So, and
You know us.
I
Yeah.
see his brain recalculating, like, "Maybe she doesn't need this.
Yeah. At all.
Maybe maybe she's not shook. Maybe she's just quiet or something, you know?"
Yeah. I definitely think, the reason that you're fine is also why no one else understands that we don't need that speech. We
Mm.
perform more than every other art form. You know what I mean?
Right,
It
yes,
just is what it is. Like,
right.
even if you're like a really popping band, you might
Mhm.
do 50 shows a year. Like
No,
that,
no,
like
you could do well, I mean, I
I'm
guess
saying, like the biggest bands I know, like the Roots were doing like 200.
right,
You know what I
but
mean? Like
they
and
were doing it in
like that's them touring literally like the whole
the
year.
whole yes, exactly, and not everyone does that, sure,
Yeah.
okay,
So like just in general, most people aren't on stage as often and in as
right,
many different variables as we are, especially
right.
if we're in New York. Like
Mhm.
you could slack off and hit 200 shows in a year.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
real talk. Like yeah, yo, I had a fever. Yo, real talk. Shalewa broke her damn ankle, and I promise you, she's still gonna hit 200 sets this year. She was out of commission, couldn't go downstairs. All the
Yeah.
shows are in basements, and she's still gonna hit 200 sets this year. Like you develop calluses to like shit going wrong, and
Uh-huh.
you're used to like, all right. You're
Yeah,
getting a
this is
good read of
mayhem.
whether or not this is me or the room or the
Mhm.
situation. You've been through all that, but no one else knows that. Like, I got friends that are like artists, that like are musicians, and like they're like, yeah, I had a crazy month this year. I did 6 shows like this month. Like that was Tuesday, my G.
I
You
know,
know what I mean?
right?
And like
Yes,
props, because I know that there's other parts of your art that I don't do. But
right.
like in turn, like the performance part of it, like I developed the callus to like any particular show affecting me in both directions, by the way. I don't
Mhm.
get too high either when
Right.
something goes well,
Yeah.
because I know that like that's also not all me. There's other variables involved with that.
Sure, yeah.
You know what
I
I mean?
mean, because someone could say something to you after a set that goes well where you're like, "Well, okay."
Yeah.
'Cause I did a set on Monday, or no, I didn't do my set last Monday. I wanted to, but the my flight got canceled and I couldn't leave for 2 days. So, I was supposed to do, like, a birthday set in Atlanta, and I wasn't able to do it, and so that was a bummer.
I
But
thought that's what you were gonna kick off the show with, by the way.
no, no, but that's just like, "Oh, well." But I knew I was doing that venue later in the week with Shanali.
Okay.
So I did, and it was full of people, that I've known for years, some of whom have seen me live, some who have not,
Mm,
um, and, so they would be very forgiving if things didn't go well, and that's when we did a I would say a couple of things, warm up, say, like, talk for 5 minutes at the top, introduce the first band, right? They play, and then the band switch out their gear, and then I'd go up ahead of Shanali, and after they switch out their gear, and then I would do, like, 15 minutes,
mm.
and then Shanali would go up. So that's what we did. So when I went up there, I was just not doing, like, my hard jokes, just kind of doing more conversational, just like, "Here's what's going on," that kinda thing. It was a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
looser because 'cause I'm just getting people like, "Hey," this and even said, "This is just me blabbing," and then I will stand to the corner, and then I will come back with more concrete ideas,
Right, right.
like that kinda thing. And a guy came up to me after the show, who I did not know, and was like, um, "Oh, yeah, that was really funny. I mean, the first stuff you were saying, that was fine, but the second stuff, it seemed like real jokes." And, that would be fine, except I literally explained to them what I was doing,
Yeah.
so he basically just parroted it back to me in the form of, like, criticism.
Yo,
And I just went, "Yeah, well, thank you." Like, "Thank you very much. I appreciate that."
like he does that at work, and he's a VP. Real talk.
Yeah,
That dude just
absolutely. And then
says what women say first, and then
later on, he was talking to someone who was in a band, and I was leaving, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know if what I said earlier was weird, but I mean, I meant it, like, the first half of why are you repeating it? If there's something in you that makes you think it might have been weird, why are you going on to say it again to me an hour later? What is wrong with you, sir?" So
I
that's I
get it.
mean, and that's a weirdness that happened after a good set. So
I
so
yeah,
the people will make it so that you are never too high.
yeah.
I mean,
They do the right balance.
they may keep you so that you're very low, but they'll never make it so that you feel too high.
I get my I feel the worst after good sets because I always get one weird compliment of
Mm.
like, "Yo, man, why aren't you famous?" Like,
Oh my god.
real talk, I don't know, my G. Know that I am gonna drive home in a 12-year-old vehicle,
Right.
and I'm gonna
And
think about
wonder
that
about
in this
that.
really torn up leather seat. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. But I feel your pain. I definitely
Mhm.
thought you were gonna start out with missing the birthday gig. You know what I mean? Happy
Yeah.
belated.
Oh, thanks.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? From the troops and correspondence.
Mhm.
But
I
yeah,
mean, yeah, so that wasn't it was just the so what I ended up doing after, the Chattanooga set, after Shanali was done, I just drove home. Also, driving there it was a Saturday, and, I mean, it was so insane just trying to get out of Atlanta, just
really.
trying to drive yeah, the traffic was ridiculous. The route said 4 hours, 7 minutes, and I went, "I mean, maybe a little longer than that, so I'm going to give myself an extra, like, 45 minutes
Okay.
because I'm sure something will happen." And also, I need to take breaks and I need to get gas, like,
Yeah.
a third of the way through, I know, of the drive, so, like, let's just say that. And, so that would put me at 4 hours and 45 minutes. It took 5.5 hours because the, Google Map or Googie, as I call her,
I
old
like that.
Googie, um, was like, "Hey, the only issue might be a little something on 85 North over by
So,
the Jimmy Carter Boulevard." And I know Jimmy Carter Boulevard exit off of 85 North, and it is chaos. On a good day with no cars out there, it's chaos. I used to work over there, so I was like, "Oh, there's something going on over there? Okay." That's when I was like, extra 45 minutes. But what it didn't count on was me pulling off out of my sister's street and there being traffic immediately for no reason, just because there were a bunch of cars. And then what it didn't count on was me trying to get from 75 South to 85 North and immediately coming up on a fresh accident, like
whoa.
fresh, like people helping other people out of cars and over to the side because there's no car with lights or sirens yet, fresh.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Still people, like, standing next to banged up cars holding their heads like, "What just that fresh.
Yo.
On 75 South, on the exchange from 75 South to 85 North, right there. I was like, "Oh, man, I ain't never going. Imma have to do this set via Zoom or something." 'Cause even at I'm not even at the point that they were talking about on 85 North, so now I gotta dust off my sneaky squirrel skills to try to figure out how to get around this blockage
Yeah.
on the Ooh, Lord, it was so much. So I literally got to the venue within minutes of me having to go up.
I gotta tell you, you vacation weird, homie. Like all of this
I
sounds real
really
stressful.
do. I do
Yeah.
not know how to vacation.
Like for a week off, you sound like you worked harder than ever.
Yeah, it was
None of that sounded easy.
no, it wasn't. It was not easy. So, it was kind of wild business. But,
Okay.
we got it done.
I'm glad. I mean, congratulations to your homegirl. New
Hmm.
album out. I think that's dope.
Yeah,
Um,
everyone look it up. It's Shonali. I think you can see why we bonded, seeing as I'm Shalewa.
yeah, I think that's fire. Real talk.
Yeah.
Check out the album. I just learned Jimmy Carter's is he from Georgia or something? Like why I'm assuming he's from the South.
Oh, wow.
I
Yeah,
didn't
he's
know
from
where he was from.
Plains, Georgia.
Oh, rock on. Shouts to you know ATL's Jimmy Carter. I don't know. I just find
Oh, his presidential, like, the Carter Center, it is in Atlanta. Yeah.
oh, that's fire. Look at
Yeah,
that.
but
Learn something new.
he's from Plains. I think it's Plains, yeah. I don't know, peanut farmer or some shit. But anywho, yes, he is
Oh,
from, the Cut
rock
in
on.
Georgia. He's from a small town in Georgia.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Georgia's Jimmy Carter. You know what I mean? We don't
Mhm.
have presidents in New York, do we? Who's the New York presidents? We haven't had
Oh,
that.
I'm sure the
I'm
people
sure
that
somebody's from
well,
here.
the Illuminati definitely has an office in New York, so and they've been running presidencies for a while.
Fair enough.
Certainly, yeah.
Rock on. And shouts to all those little cities. Charlotte is dope. Shouts to
Yeah.
again,
Charlotte I
real
mean,
talk.
Charlotte was great, Nashville was great, like, the people were really nice,
Yeah.
the venues were cool, um, uh, I miss driving.
Right.
Yeah, I miss driving, although that last drive in the middle of the night, I was like, "Ugh, now I gotta fight to stay awake." But once I got on 85 South at a certain point that I've driven a lot, I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I can go to sleep now, I know I got it from here.
You good.
I've driven this highway enough, I don't need to be awake fully for all of this."
If you ever just want to joyride, you can borrow my car. Let me know. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Just
There
for
doesn't seem to
kicks.
be any joy riding in New York City.
You gotta go out late enough. You gotta go out like
No,
after
there is
one.
no late enough. I I don't think so. I think yeah, I don't know. It doesn't there's never a point where I feel like you could drive through the city and be like, "This is nice."
I dig it.
I think the only time that happened was when everything was softly shut down during COVID. Could
Oh
you,
man.
like, go through the streets of New York and go, "This is all right. Look at
Real talk.
these are nice looking buildings,"
Yeah.
but yeah, only it took a pandemic.
Shut the city down every now and then, just to let us
Yeah,
joyride.
yeah, let it fucking grow a new skin.
Yo, that would be a perk. Real talk. Give me 1 hour, give me 15 minutes a year.
Mhm.
Whereas a New York City resident, I could drive with no
No,
traffic.
take it take an hour. Really enjoy it.
Well, I
Do
figured
that.
there's 8 million of us. I don't know how that works time
Well, I
wise.
mean, you only gonna get it every 2 years.
Right.
Like, it's
Like
not gonna
election
be every
cycle.
year. Yeah.
No,
Yes,
that's
it will be an election cycle, and it's, lottery based and whatnot, but,
yeah, that'd be fun. Like, yo, you heard? Yo, Gastor's hours coming up. That'd be fire. Real talk. I'm letting my friends know they can get favors and sit in the back. You know what I mean?
Right, yes, sure, but not too many. You want it to
Nah,
be a nice
it's got to
chill
be
ride.
chill.
You don't wanna feel like you're an Uber. You wanna feel like you're out here freely driving. I mean, I had a moment like that the other day in Atlanta when I went to get some food, and the place that I went, the way to get there, I was like, "Oh, wait, I think I know these streets. I don't have to have Google remind me or anything." Um,
Okay.
and it's through a very wealthy neighborhood, but lots of trees, lots of big houses set far away from the street, but lots of trees on it and just a very quiet ride, and there weren't a lot of people on the road at the time, and it
Right.
was very peaceful, and I got to listen to, some music 'cause music sounds best in the car, and,
Amen.
so
Amen.
I got to listen to some music while driving around, so that was nice. Yeah,
I
shout out
like
to my
that.
Sentra, actually, that
Yo.
shout out to the Sentra that I rented, because it wasn't even the first car I got. The first car I got was the only car that was nowadays, they don't, like, walk you over to a car or anything, they're just like, "Go to row 3, pick whatever's over there." So I went to row 3, and the only thing that was over there was a worn out Mitsubishi Mirage hatchback,
Okay.
and it was like it had a screen, and if you put the car in reverse, the screen would show you what it looked like. But otherwise, I don't really know what else a little screen did. Everything else felt real old school in the car, and they just kinda slapped an iPad on it, and it smelled like smoke in a way that I know rental cars always smell like smoke, but this
Yeah.
literally, I was like, "Oh, they didn't pay attention to the no smoking thing at all." Like, I think there are actual butts still in here. And and then the brakes, look, I I am not anti-janky car. Most of my cars have been janky.
Right.
So I love a janky car, I understand a janky car, but I have
Amen.
to know the jank of the car.
Yes.
And I this is a new car to me. I do not wanna discover the janks of this janky car on my way to Nashville,
Yeah.
right? So I was like, "Nah, this" it made a sound when I applied the brakes that made me think that was the semi in front of me. And then I did it again, and I was like, "Oh, shit, that's me? Okay, we gotta take you back, babe."
Real talk. When your car could throw his voice, that's not a good look.
Yeah, and then the transmission didn't feel strong enough, and these are all things that I've had problems with before, so I feel it very early.
Real
I'm
talk.
very intuitive to a slippy transmission.
That transmission, I felt it in my ankle.
Yeah, I was like, "Nah, this ain't gonna work," so I took it back that night
Amen.
and got another one.
Yeah, every time I borrow somebody's car, they see me like I know my boy Hubert. I borrowed his whip, and he just saw me go around his block twice
Mhm.
before leaving. He's like, "What you still doing here? What you doing?" He's like, "You think I'm gonna just pull off and
Right.
trust you? I don't, like you my homie, but like I've seen how you manage other stuff. I don't like
Right,
I
yes.
can't trust that this car is just perfect working.
Right, I need to see what's happening. So
Yeah,
that's what I did. I drove that little Mitsubishi around for a little bit, and I was just like, "Nah, you ain't gonna make it. I got serious drives to make, and you are a little too tin can for what I have going on right now."
Well, I'm glad I don't even know if I can say the rest of the trip, but I'm glad some of the trip worked out.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, overall, everything worked out. There were just little hiccups and very emotional people, not me, but they were very emotional people, and, but overall, it was a perfectly fine trip.
okay,
I am tired, though.
I hear you. I hear you. We'll get some Z's in today. I will say also, prior to you leaving, we discussed, you were doing for the trip. You
Mhm.
asked me, you gave me the option, hey, like if you'd like, get a co-host, do some extra episodes. We had already
Right,
had a couple episodes in the bag,
right,
and we could do the main episodes, but we were missing the bonuses.
right.
And I could get someone else to record,
Uh-huh.
and then our episode would have been the bonus,
Right.
and their episodes would have been the new one. I
Okay,
decided against it
okay.
because we had our 200th episode.
Look,
And it would have felt weird if like the 200th episode would have been me and a co-host. So I was like, nah, B, it's
yes.
me and Shy. We built this baby, ground up, bottom up, you know?
Somebody asked me why we didn't make a big deal about 200 episodes, and I was like, "Because we don't know until Gastor puts the number on it."
Amen.
I'm
That's
like,
really
"By
it.
the time we do it, it is in the can. It is already chopped up."
As it is, yo, real talk. I'm
It's
seeing it as y'all seeing it.
yeah.
I discovered 200 literally 30 seconds before y'all. You know what I mean?
So
Because also like we only count the Thursday episode. That's kind of been our guarantee.
right,
But we've pretty consistently done the bonus.
right,
So in theory, we're almost at 400, really.
right, yes,
You know what I
right.
mean? So
Yeah.
like, but yeah, we're not counting those. So like, yeah, to me and Shy, it's just we were just recording and making sure we put them out. So but yeah, like when I was setting up the schedule, I was like, I can't have 200 be me and not Shy. You
Right,
know what I
right.
mean? So I was like, nah, be that math hurt. It was bothering me. Real talk. So I was
Oh,
like, nah, be
yeah.
we
No,
doing this.
I totally understand. Here's you know what? Here's my promise to our troops and correspondents. We will acknowledge when we hit another year, which I believe is coming up soon.
Yeah, it's coming soon.
Okay. We will acknowledge it in the
We
moment,
got you.
not
We got
after
you.
the fact. That is my promise to you.
We'll
As
try
soon
our
as
best.
as soon as we do the math and figure out when it is, but we know it is coming up soon.
We got you. And I'll make one other promise.
Hmm.
Okay. I haven't
Mhm.
done it because admittedly the episodes we've missed have only been bonuses. If
Right.
there's the next time we miss the main episode, I think it's only happened once.
Mhm.
If I miss the main episode, I will make another there's no episode of me singing.
Oh, wow, like,
Super
from the
deep cut.
very first one
From the
that
very beginning. I made a song for y'all. I'll do it again, but only the main episode. I can't be doing this like bonus to it. That'd be wild. I'm gonna drop an album at that point.
yeah,
Okay.
no, I okay, well, if you're gonna do that, then I'm gonna do my best to make sure we keep pumping out main episodes because I don't know if anybody needs you talking with a deep voice all 70s R&B style into
Too
the
hard,
mic.
B. Let's get into news.
Okay.
Kicking us off, a New Zealand charity unknowingly distributed meth-laced candy. Whoa. Okay, we
Uh-huh.
kicking off strong.
Wow.
a
And also,
tr-
I don't know what's going on in the news kind of at all. And I hate that this is how I'm going to discuss literally the only thing I in my news, the only thing that's going on is Oasis is getting back together and doing a concert next year. That's literally the only thing I've seen in the news. I think there
I
was a
got DM'd
Democratic
about that.
National Convention, but mostly the Oasis thing.
Oh man. It's
Okay.
funny you mentioned Nashville too, by the way.
Uh-huh.
I literally like watching ESPN, I found out that Steve McNair passed away, the quarterback
Oh, okay.
from the Tennessee Titans 10 years
Right.
ago. I found out he died 10 years ago
What?
yesterday.
Huh.
Like yesterday, I was watching Netflix and they have a documentary on his murder. And I was like, he died? And they were like, yep, 10 years ago. I'm
Ah!
like, yo, that shit, I went through everything watching that. I'm like, yo, this dude was dope. And like, but yeah, apparently he died. Uh, that shit messed me up. I was
Look,
like, yo, what the hell's happening? This dude's like
we
40.
didn't say we were going to bring you the recent news. We just said we got some news reports here that we'll
Real
talk
talk.
about.
But I will tell you this. watching the documentary, sad story overall. He gets murdered in a condo in Tennessee, but like it's wrong. But one of the funniest things was watching the conversation because he gets a girlfriend who's really young,
Mm.
and the girlfriend had broken up with her ex. They were the same age, and they were still broke young people. So when they broke up, they still lived together.
Oh, right.
She worked at a restaurant, so like a bunch of celebrities from Tennessee would pop in, and he was a football fan. So
Mm.
this dude got excited when she met Steve McNair. Say, hey, okay, I get a Steve McNair autograph. And then he has to tell the camera, he's like, yo, you know what's like your favorite football player? You can't cheer for him on Sunday because on Saturday he was texting your ex in the next room. He had to say that to the camera. And I found that amazing. The vulnerability of that, you know.
Yeah, man.
Real talk. This dude been
That
dead for 10 years and he's still holding that in his heart,
well,
you
yeah,
know?
that's a lot to hold. That's a lot
Yeah,
to hold. I'm glad that he got some of that out.
real
Whew,
talk.
that's a heavy burden.
That's the current Tennessee Nashville news I got. Real talk. 10 years
Okay,
later.
so there we go.
But yeah, kicking us off, this New Zealand charity unknowingly distributed meth-laced candy. The charity was working with people experiencing homelessness in New Zealand, called the Auckland City Mission, revealed that it had unknowingly distributed the sweets. The Rinda brand pineapple lollies were donated by a member of the public, sealed in retail-sized packages, and contained solid blocks of methamphetamine containing more than 300 times the usual dose that people take, according to the New Zealand Drug Foundation. If consumed, the candies could be deadly. We received an alert of concern by a food parcel recipient who said they had funny tasting lollies. As a measure of safety, lollies still on the site were tested by the NZ Drug Foundation. Tests confirmed that the lollies tested contained potentially lethal levels of methamphetamine.
That's wild. Okay, so
Yo.
that means someone bought this Rinda brand pineapple lollipops, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which means it was sealed.
Yep.
So that means the meth had to be in the factory or some shit. Yes?
Maybe, or just somebody's really professional about their drug sales.
And has a resealer. Look, I know how to do the resealing thing. I know how to
Yeah.
re-shrink wrap. And although it is truly, especially shrink wrapping, is the most relaxing thing in the world. If I could just shrink wrap everything in my house, I would.
Ooh.
It's real relaxing. You put the plastic on it and then you kind of melt it, but there's still bubble. And then you take like a hair dryer thing and blow air on it, and then it shrinks to the thing. Oh my goodness, it's the best. That
Oh.
said, you always know when it's not professionally done. You always know that this was done by hand.
Oh, that's Shalewa's signature.
Yeah.
You know?
You always know. So if
Yo,
in some way
I mean,
so
each of these had a New Zealand resale value of 1,000 New Zealand dollars or 608 per candy. So
per
like
candy?
per candy. So because again, they said each of these candies, the overdose, that's why it was an issue. Cause like apparently, I found all of this weird and funny that like there's a standard dose of meth that a person take. Who I don't know who made this standard
I
in New
mean,
Zealand,
the
but apparently
person
there's a
who took as
standard.
much as they could without dying.
Word. Somebody in New Zealand is like, I mean, this is the
That
normal
person.
amount.
That person was standing next to the person who took as much as they could and died, and then that person went, "Give me like a teaspoon less."
Well, it had 300 times that
Ugh.
per candy. So each candy was worth $608 American. And then they had a whole bag of those donated. So like
Wow.
whoever made that donation like wouldn't have done it on purpose because like that's real money that they
Unless
lost.
they were trying to hurt in some sort of weird backhanded way, trying to hurt whoever was
Fair.
trying to move weight through the candy. I bet
Yeah.
they were like, "Nah,
Oh,
nah, I'll show you. Imma donate your candy to, a shelter or something, and then let's see how you do."
yeah. The
So
story
now
done now.
yeah, so now I guess this will be tracked. Does the story say if it was tracked back to anyone?
I mean, either way, like now the game's up. Like now people know, oh, they lacing this candy. So now the secret's out. You know what I mean? They ruined they
Right.
hustle.
I mean, how about the family who got, like, a parcel in part of their food, like, shipment and tasted them, and they were like, "These taste weird. Are they okay?" Because that's not like a how many licks does it take to the get does take to get kinda situation. That's like 1 lick and
You're high, yeah,
you are
instantly.
fucked up,
Yeah.
like you are cleaning something with a Q-tip for hours.
Real talk. Buying
So
old VCRs just to clean them.
just to
Okay.
clean 'em, put 'em back together. So and that's from 1 lick. Like, how do you even place that that's what that was?
Yo, shouts to New Zealand, man. Y'all do it right.
Oh, y'all are insane.
It
Part of
does
me
it.
is like, "Ah, they knew it was in there." I mean, I love you, New Zealand. Y'all are insane, though.
Real talk. Like they not even mad that there was drugs. They're just mad that there was 300 times. That's the impression I got from the article. Like if it was twice as strong, they'd be like, oh yeah, that's cool. But
I
300
don't
times as strong, they're like, hey, listen, you're overdoing it.
that's
Okay.
a I mean, that is a lot.
Mm-mm. In other news, the meet the Manhattan's ant. The
What?
ant that's taking New York streets by storm, Sha. That's
I'm
right.
not okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Who sent this? They didn't send it to me, I don't think. Because 'Cause didn't I go off on ants last time?
Yeah, I actually believe I'm blanking on which one of the people. I do have the
Oh,
names of the
right.
people that submitted, but I know that I remember reading that like this was for shot.
Mm,
Um, the ant, nicknamed the Manhattan ant, first turned up in the city in 2011, but back then no one knew where it came from, and for years it was mostly ignored. But this ant has flourished in the Big Apple. Oh, look, that's a beautiful story. Make a
no,
doc
it's
about
not.
it. You
Stop
know,
it.
it's like girls, but for ants. I like this. Uh,
I feel like if you flourish in the big city, that just means you can live off of actual shit. And I don't know if that's something to be proud of.
Yo, shouts to the ants, baby. Uh, but this ant has flourished in the Big Apple so much so that it's now vying with a species called the pavement ant for being the most common ant in the city.
Already?
What Yo, real talk. What's more, the Manhattan ants have started to spread beyond their namesake island, expanding their territory at a rate of about a mile a year. We predict that they could expand as far north as Maine and as far south as Atlanta, Georgia. Yo, and
Good.
that's
Well,
according
look,
to
work on your game up here and then take that shit to Atlanta where ants are just like, "I'm sorry." It's a real blood crip situation
yo, real
with
talk. It's getting
ants.
kind of territorial.
Yeah, it's very territorial. In
Uh,
fact, apologies to the Bloods and the Crips. I don't know if you're as bloodthirsty as these ants are
yeah, real
in
talk, B.
Atlanta.
Y'all can learn some, okay?
Yeah, yeah, observe a hill.
This is an ant that could become quite common throughout the East Coast, according to Clint Pennick of Auburn University. He and some other scientists are now trying to figure out why it has been so successful in order to better predict whether it's likely to threaten native insect species or damage trees and other plants. Um, an influential list of 100 worst invasive species worldwide includes a number of ants, points out Mariano Rodriguez Cabal of the University of Vermont. He says an invasive species. He says invasive species are leading cause of extinction and biodiversity loss. So there's a lot of risk involved with having these ants kind of spread outside of where they're normally from.
Right, but we don't even know where they're normally from yet.
Yeah, they out
So,
here spreading, baby.
I don't and okay, just as a note, these are not the ants that are in my apartment. I know that because it says there's a description, and they're fairly large, and
Yeah,
the on the edges, they're, like, dark brown, but in the middle, they're, like, light brown, I think, is how they described them, and that's
yeah.
not my ants aren't the big body. When I called them big body ants last time, this is the body I was referring to, but all black. I'm used to a big body, murked out a murked out big body ant is what I'm used to.
Oh man, real talk.
Not a two-tone, not an inside jelly, outside licorice ant, which is kind of what we got going on here. Inside caramel, outside licorice is kind of what's going on with these ants, but it is still big body. Please believe though, if I saw one of these in my house, I would freak the fuck out.
Yo, they coming. Other
I
ants
hope
were
not.
mentioned in the articles for references. The Asian needle ant, as an example, first arrived in the U.S. in the 1930s, but wasn't recognized as a threat until 20 years ago. This
Mm.
ant not only invades buildings, but also has moved into forests, decimating native ants that normally help disperse seeds. Ants can have ripple effects through ecosystems that lead to unexpected consequences. One study published earlier this year found that invasive ants in Kenya caused a series of changes that ultimately resulted in lions eating fewer zebras. Yo,
What?
yo,
Okay, well, I don't honestly, has anyone okay, is there a Trooper correspondent who is a scientist in a bug way and
yeah,
can maybe explain to us how what ants are doing over here affects a lion's appetite and choice of prey over here? Like,
real talk.
how exactly does that work? I know there's someone out there who loves bugs and can explain it to me. I know there is. I know too many people who love bugs, and why those people are in my life, I'm not 100% sure how I ended up like that, but here we are. It's too late. I love them. But
Yeah, real talk.
if you are that kind of person, please holler at us and let us know perhaps how that would work.
Yeah, dude, that's the butterfly effect I want to follow right there. That's wild.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
insane.
but yeah, they out there. You know what I mean? Big body ants. All right, Megan the Stallion ants.
We are absolutely serious. Megan the Stallion ants.
In other news, South Korea deploys sniffer dogs to screen for bed bugs after the Paris Games. That's right. South
Oh,
Korea.
after the game. Why weren't you doing it before? Look here. Wait, hold on. Okay, so South Korea was sniffing their own people for bed bugs because Paris is lousy with bed bugs.
hmm
Good for them. Good for them. As they should, dirty
Hell
ass
yeah.
Parisians. I
Trusted nobody. South Korea has
yeah,
deployed a
because
bed
do
bug
you
sniffer dog.
remember the stories about the bed bug situation in Paris, like, before maybe a year before the Olympics, like, last summer? I feel like we
Yo,
did a story about it,
yeah. Yeah,
and
no,
mhm.
no, tell me.
No, it's just they never said, like, "Oh, people were coming back from Fashion Week." That was it. Like,
Yeah,
people coming
yeah, you're
back from
right.
Fashion Week, and they were spreading the Parisian bed bugs, you can tell they're Parisian, they have tiny little berets and striped shirts. The stripes on the bed bugs are black and white or navy blue and white instead of red and black. That's how you can tell. But, yeah, like, I and then they just never said anything later, and I'm like, "What about the Olympics? Aren't y'all getting ready to have the whole
Yeah.
world in your city?" So
Oh,
so good on South Korea.
yeah, it's because they have that running ramp. Be like, you know it's coming in. Quarantine all those people. Hose them
Right.
down. Put the clothes in like a airtight bag. You know what I mean? Make them stay at the airport for a couple weeks.
That's what you do, right? Don't you have to wash them and then put them in an extremely, extremely high heat?
Yeah, yeah. I'm telling you, I had a bed bug scare. I talk about it on stage now, but I had a bed bug scare where at my furniture store. They literally spray you down in this like real like it smells like pure alcohol.
Mhm.
They spray your clothes down in that, and then they make you clean it, and then you gotta dry it in high heat, and then you gotta leave it bagged for like 48 hours.
Okay, yeah.
And then like you can use it again.
Mm.
I was like, yo, like I'm like, I mean, I ain't rich. That's a $600 suit. Like that's money to me. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how much suits go by, but that's that I ain't just chucking those.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, now and as is the other employees. So yeah, now they told us a whole process we had to go through for that.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
I have to say, I don't know of a city that has taken a bigger hit in sex appeal than Paris has in the last year. Like
Nah,
that shit is like
here's the
romanticized to
thing.
me growing up. That shit is disgusting.
Still is. It
Yeah.
still is. People will still like, I still wanna go, and I know that the rats are riding bikes and carrying baguettes home. I know they are.
Really?
Like, the rat situation in Paris apparently is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um, I've been joking about, how French people pee in the streets since I was in high school. So I've been making that joke since the '80s. Um, all of that, and I still want to go.
Really?
Yeah, I just wanna see it.
Yo, I gotta tell you, I'm going. I know I'm gonna end up going because my wife wants to go,
Yeah.
and I want my wife to be happy.
Oh,
But
that's
like, I've
nice.
lost all interest in that place.
I think you'll I mean, I think the stuff that I wanna see the usual things. Let me see that big tall thing y'all got in the middle there. Let me see, I don't need to see the Mona Lisa, but I'd like to see some of the other things in the Louvre.
Okay,
Um,
is Paris the one with the leaning pizza thing?
no, that's Italy.
Italy,
I
gotcha.
believe
Okay,
that's in Rome, right? The Leaning Tower of Pisa?
yeah, I don't know which. I know it's. I know it's. I associate it as over there.
Over there?
Yeah.
You're correct. It is indeed over
So
there.
it's over there. That's all the same. Like,
No. You know, it's funny that you say that because every time I talk to someone about making a European trip, someone will always go, "Oh, yeah, I really wanna go to Italy." And I'm like, "Yeah, I wanna go to Barcelona." And in my brain, I'm like, "Barcelona's in Italy." It is not. It is in Spain. And every time I say that as if I'm co-signing their thing, the person looks at me like, "Are you an idiot?" And I am. I am, because I now I've just trained myself to stop mentioning Barcelona because I clearly don't know anything.
where is Barcelona?
I don't know, in Spain, I think. Far as I knew, it was in Italy. I don't know.
Like, the only reason I know that they're different places is because they keep winning Olympic bids. I was like, they wouldn't just keep going to the same country, like.
Gotcha. So,
But
sure.
outside of that, I know it's just is us here, uh, Mexico, Canada, and them,
Wow.
and they
Oh my
got
god,
stuff
that's
over
the
there.
most American thing you've ever said. We've got to get you at least to Paris.
I went to Italy. That was
You did
cool.
Italy,
You know what
right.
I mean?
Yeah.
I did all these little cities in Italy. It was dope. I had a bunch. I told you I got lost in Italy, and like,
Yes. Wait.
yeah, you know what I mean. I've had a good time over there.
Yeah.
It was dope. I met like a Italian family. Like, the dad cut my hair. It was a blast.
Right. Yes. So,
Yeah,
you've been over there. You
I'm
just gotta
cultured, baby.
you're cultured, yes.
You know what I mean? We out here, man. If you would like to sponsor the War Report's new trip to over there, anywhere over there, quite
Yeah.
frankly,
Yes.
you can tell us we're in different places. We'll believe both stories.
Please send us somewhere so that we won't continue to have conversations like, "Where is Barcelona?"
Real talk. Send us to Edinburgh. Tell me I'm in Rome, and tell Sha she's in Barcelona. Okay.
Right. And we'll believe you.
Real talk. Let us fit. That should be that's the game show.
Mm.
We have to figure out where we are.
They just drop us in the
Just
city?
drop us somewhere in Europe, and we got to figure it out.
Oh, no.
I
I
like it.
I feel like there are some red flags in that plan, but I can't articulate all of them right now. Just know that, that game show can be canceled at any point once we realize what the true issues are with it. The idea of just dropping Americans in a European city, I don't know, it feels weird. Like,
Yeah, that's
I feel
fair.
like we've done it before under a different context.
Oh man. All you gotta do is like, subscribe to the show, baby. If you're an Apple, Spotify listener, we appreciate your ratings. 4 stars. You don't see the hit potential of the show, okay? It's gonna go viral every week. 5 stars, you know it's gonna be a hit, but you also understand that you might never see Gastor and Shalewa again. Okay.
Ever again. That's kind of the first, like, pinkish red flag, is that we may disappear.
Oh man. Yeah, they sold their passports to survive, and now they had no way out.
Fine. What
Nobody believes who they are. You think I sound like this and I'm born here?
right,
Listen
exactly.
to me talk.
Uh, yeah, you'll have a hard time. I will absolutely give me a loaf of bread, I'll walk around with it.
So what? It's hard like this on purpose,
Right. Meanwhile,
right? You got to dip it in oil.
I'm just hanging clothing on a clothesline.
We got soft bread all over America. It comes soft.
I mean, if all they're eating is hard bread, but they've got good tasting olive oil and a garlic clove, I kinda will stay wherever that's happening.
No, real talk. I came around on it when I first got there. I like my jaw hurt that first day, and people were
Sure.
laughing at me. And like,
Mhm.
you're supposed to dip it in the oil. I was like, okay. And like I tapped it, like, nah, B,
Yeah.
you gotta like leave it in there, man. You gotta do some work. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's gotta soften.
So I learned. I'm telling you, I'm coaching, baby. Real talk. I had that pizza where they were like, I asked for pizza and like they ain't give you a slice. They like he like waves the slicer around and I'm supposed to tell him how much I want him to cut for me, and then they weigh the pizza.
Oh, okay.
Shit was
Alright.
dope. Hell yeah, yo, I'm out here, baby. Real talk. Oh man, that was also the week I discovered really that Gabby loved me because I embarrassed her for like 14 days all over that country. Uh, just her like apologizing for America, and she's not even born in the United States.
Right.
It's 14 weeks of her saying, I don't know why I chose to be there. Real talk. I don't
Yeah,
get it.
I don't know.
If you have any articles you want us to cover, please DM us directly on Twitter or Instagram at Silky Jumbo or at Gastor Almonte. Shout out to sweet to Kimmy Marie, Dad versus the and FCBLJ. Always appreciate the articles. With all that said, I am the most cultured man on this particular block, admittedly. Maybe this side of the
Oh,
block of in East New York.
and I
Gastor.
feel like that's not even really right,
Yeah,
but
it's true.
I'll
Real
give it
talk.
to you. We
Yeah,
won't
I'm
look too
trying.
deeply. We won't look too
And
deeply.
And you know what? There's somebody on the corner with like one of those little like community library houses. So maybe they got me beat. They read a lot of books. Okay.
Been
So I'll take second
out-cultured by
place.
a free lending library. Okay.
I'll take second on my block, Gastor Almonte. You know what I mean? With soon to be Barcelona legend, aficionado.
As
Okay.
soon as I find it.
She's a tour guide in Barcelona, Shalewa Sharpe.
And the tour
Okay.
is, where is it?
Charlie's tour buses all around Barcelona. It's just her pointing out and not realizing she's just missing it the whole 4 hours.
Right,
She's driving around
exactly.
the city.
Does she know she's in Ireland? Just let her talk. Just let her talk.
Oh man, this has been an episode of us finding ourselves. All right, we gonna figure it out. It's 201 episodes. Why not?
Yeah,
We gonna
exactly.
get there. Catch y'all next time. Peace.